Kyle, after 2 months of being MIA, Cubs social media turning their backs on him. Fans telling him he should be on a Greyhound bus to Iowa. Kyle, make no mistake about it. The King is back.
Were you
Welcome in.
Were you talking to Kyle Tucker or to me? I couldn't
Both.
figure out which Kyle. Okay. All right.
You're the podfather. He's the king. I mean, you are the king of this castle.
I was saying Kyle. It's just Kyle. I wasn't calling myself the king.
Well, you said that. I don't know, Jim. Welcome into another edition of the Setup Man podcast. Coming off a Cubs sweep in LA. They now head to San Francisco, but we have a lot to get into from this series. But before we do that, make sure if you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that like button. Also, hit that subscribe button. Also, comment section has been blowing up recently, so keep up the good work there. We greatly appreciate it. And if you're listening audio only, make sure you hit the subscribe button and do us a favor. Leave us a 5-star review. Maybe we'll start reading those on air if they're good ones. We'll see, just to incentivize the crowd a little bit more. But, wait. Before we get into anything else, we have to talk about the Setup Man Hangout.
Let's do it.
Let's do that indeed. So, do you like us? Do you like listening to us?
Do you like us?
Do you like us? Do you like my stupid accent? Well, you'll be able to hear it in person Friday, September 5th and Saturday, September 6th. The whole bullpen will be in Wrigleyville Friday. We'll be in the bleachers. If you see us, come say hi. We'll be in Gallagher Way after the fact, probably a little bar hopping after the fact. And then Saturday, we will be in the left field bleachers with one Mr. Cody Del Mendo. Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a time. So that is Friday, September 5th and Saturday, September 6th. I butchered the beginning of that, and that is because I'm so excited to talk about this series. So, Cubs are 21 games over 500. They've won 7 of their last 10 after this sweep of the Angels. Game 1, Kyle Tucker, home run. First homer in more than a month. PCA, game-winning home run in the 9th. Everything going good. Javi Assad looked pretty good. Kittredge, we'll get into him in a little bit, but struggled Friday night. Game 2 rolls around. Talk about a beatdown, which highlighted by the Reese McGuire grand slam, but also Kyle Tucker, another 2 nukes, 3 for 5, 2 nukes, and a double for the King and Cade Horton. We have to talk about him, and we will, because he is a bona fide stud. I got tons of stats of the day on him. And then game 3 today, Jameson Taillon got pulled early. We were all kind of wondering. It was just announced that he left with groin tightness as a precautionary measure. So we will keep an eye on that. But Cubs win, Cubs sweep, and a lot of good from the series. But Kyle, your biggest takeaway from the series in LA was?
Biggest takeaway. I mean, we're going to talk about it. It has to be Kyle Tucker. But if we're going to throw the obvious out, it's just, I mean, you took care of business when you were supposed to take care of business. This was a team that is not very good, but you're on the road against the Angels. So, advantage still kind of like, you want to win the series. You're hoping for a sweep, but they finish it off even with a very nerve-wracking 9th inning with Daniel Palencia, who at one point only threw 96 miles an hour on one of his pitches, which was a little bit nerve-wracking. Still got the sweep, despite some still questionable decisions in the lineup, questionable things with the pitching. We'll talk about all that. They just found a way and they took care of business. So this is going to be really fun. I just feel like even in the series win against the Brewers, because they lost that last game, there's still just been these vibes on our shows, not because of us, but because we have to just bring you guys the truth. And the truth has been, since the Red Sox series, there hasn't been a whole lot of positive vibes on many Cubs shows that you watch. And so I'm just excited to be super positive and live in what is a great series sweep today.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Even the last show Ty and I did, we looked at each other afterward and we're like, probably a little too negative. They just beat the Brewers in a series.
Yeah, we got to be truthful. And plus, I mean, our job as podcasters, I believe, even though a lot of people on Twitter are like, oh, you guys are doom and gloom. No, we have a 162 game season and we're going to break down every single series, which means eventually we're going to break down every single game, which means that we have to bring you guys the truth. We're not just gonna be like, well, shoot, darn guys, we'll get them next time. We have to be real about the situation recently. The real situation, it hasn't been a lot of fun, but last 2 series have been.
Well, I'm going to, not to go negative, I am going to start, though, with the Owen Casey conversation. He
Oh,
didn't
okay, we
see,
want to start there?
yeah, I think just because we're going to get into the King in a little bit, but I'm just confused as to why he didn't see the field. Can I read you some Seiya Suzuki numbers?
I have some Seiya Suzuki numbers as well for you.
Ooh,
So
dueling stats. All right. Well, on my end, Seiya before the break was hitting 263, a 319 on base, and a 547 slug. Since the break, 179 batting average. Yikes. 309 OBP. Yeah, not great. This one blew my mind. A 259 slug. That is
since the break,
horrible. And he this is the other one too. He
he just
led
looks
the
lost.
majors. It's crazy. He led the majors in RBIs before the break. Since the break, he's only got 10. And since the break, he's only got 5 extra base hits. If we're talking mental reset, that looks like a guy that needs one more than anybody. And also, you have a young kid who could DH for him. Why, like today? Today's getaway day. I know you're
Mhm.
off tomorrow, but why not give Suzuki 2 full days? You did it with the King. Why not do
Well,
that with Sam?
especially because it is Ben Craig's MO on Wednesdays/Thursdays, whatever getaway day is in the middle of the week, plus Sundays, to just put out the like rest lineup. And he didn't do that on Sunday, at least not based on what he would consider the everyday lineup, which was just surprising for me. I figured, okay, at least Owen Casey's getting a start on Sunday. He's gonna rest either Hap or Seiya, probably not PCA, but one of those guys, and he didn't do it. And I don't know. I mean, when you're hitting 357, that's what Owen Casey is doing in his last 6 games with a home run and a double. I mean, you find a way to get that guy in the lineup.
Well, especially Saturday night, they're up big. All right, kid, go take it at bat. What was it? Second pitch, hammers a ball 114 miles an hour off the bat into the gap. It's like, okay, he'll be starting tomorrow. Nope. And it's
Yeah.
just that was the only thing that really bugged me. I wanted to start with that conversation because also I thought it was weird that Matt Shaw didn't play yesterday. Now he was back in the lineup today, but it was just kind of confusing. And they're so hell bent on using Willie Castro, which is fine, but he smashes lefties. And they keep using him against right-handed pitchers. I don't quite understand that.
I'll tell you what's more surprising. Alex coming out hot with the trying to throw Craig under the bus in the first 2 minutes after a sweep. So let's go down that road as long as we come back to the sweep, because I got some
lots of
positives.
positives. Yeah,
Lots of positives. So I'm just giving you a hard time. Yeah, it's all very strange. Now, what I will say is, like, there's always stuff behind the scenes that you're just like, okay, what's going on? Okay, for example, I was very quick to judge Craig today when he pulled JMO at 62 pitches. Well, after the game, they interview Craig and he says, hey, JMO's dealing with some groin tightness. That's why he got pulled. Okay, that makes sense. For all those haters out there that are like, no, it was the right decision. No, it wasn't the right decision. You've got Andrew Kittredge / Andrew Kreischer coming in 11 games, and the 23 games the Cubs have played, they're putting Bert Kreischer out there to pitch the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. If you're not watching on YouTube, you need to be, because the image of Bert Kreischer and Andrew Kittredge is spitting. All right. So it's crazy how close that is. That to me is whatever. I'm not going to talk much about that, but that was my original argument, is like, dude, he threw 92 pitches in his first start back. We're not babying Jamison Tyone. He's fine. But when you find out that he's got some groin tightness, okay, give you the benefit of the doubt. I doubt that Matt Shaw was dealing with anything. He had 4 incredible plays on Friday night. Owen Casey definitely not dealing with anything, because on Saturday he comes in and he pinch hits. He hits a double. He ends up scoring. Willie Castro doesn't start against the lefty. Like you said, he's got a over 8 OPS against lefties. He's got an under 7 OPS against righties, yet we just keep on putting him out there against righties. So yeah, we continue to hone in on these things that just make it difficult. But you know what? Good job for the players to battle through what a manager or a front office or an organization does in terms of weird lineup decisions and still go out there and sweep a team that you should win a series against. And oh, by the way, get within 5 games of the Brewers, which I think we're going to talk about that a little bit more a little later.
Yeah. Don't
which, by the way, just I want to give the fans to like give their thoughts on this too. You know, we talk a lot about this stuff because I think we have to dive into this stuff. But was there anything within this weekend series, decisions wise, that you as the fan were just like scratching your head? I'm not asking if you agree with it or not. I'm just asking, like, what was a head scratcher for you of like, was it taking out Matt Shaw in game 2? Was it not starting Owen Casey one time? Am I still there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
That was weird. My whole screen just went blank. That was strange. Anyway, we're good. Was there one thing that happened this weekend that you're just like head scratcher? Because I just want to know if we're the only ones that are overanalyzing this stuff. Anyway, put it in the comments.
Well, and to be fair, we've been coming off of a month of shows where it's been pretty critical. So let's switch gears here. Let's go positive. I want to talk about a young man.
Did I just bully you into the positivity?
No, but I do want to. I wanted to start there because those are, again, whatever, they swept. I'm happy they won 3 in a row. They're 21 over 500, kind of creeping back into the division race, kind of, maybe. All good things, but those were the 2 things where it's like, huh, interesting. I don't really understand, but whatever. They won. That's all I care about. Let's talk about a young man, young starting pitcher. You can't spell Cade without A-C-E. Choir. Stat of the day. After another brilliant performance, Cade's season ERA is down to 2.88, but that's not the stat of the day. Here's the stat of the day. Cade Horton is the first rookie to strike out a former MVP, Mike Trout, 3 times in a game, and the first since Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game. But that's not good enough. One more time. Stat of the day. Per Chris Kamka on X, Horton has a 0.49 ERA in his last 7 starts. That is 37 innings of work. But I'm not done. One more time. Stat of the day. Per Marquee Sports Network, Cade Horton has allowed the fewest runs in a 7-game span for the Chicago Cubs since 1901. In his last 7 games, he's given up 2 earned runs. John Lester in 2016 did it with 3. Jake Arrieta in his incredible run in 2015 also gave up 3. And then somebody I guarantee you've never heard of by the name of Ed Rulbach in 1906 and 1908, 3. So just to point it out to the nice people of Setup Nation, Cade Horton is doing something we haven't seen since 2016 John Lester, or if you want to even be more dramatic, 2015 Jake Arrieta. That is the kind of run he's been on. I cannot speak enough glowing things about this young man because he is a beast.
I'm keeping this up on the screen because you got Steve Irwin who says be kind to animals, Mr. Rogers who says be kind to other people, and Bob Ross who says be kind to yourself, and Alex says be ready for stat of the day because that is his motto in life. Bro, I think first of all, this is kind of, as a fan, I would think to the casual fan, this has kind of gone under the radar. And why is that? Well, because during this like 7-game span where he's got a 0.549 ERA, he's only pitched 37 and a third innings, which means he's basically averaging about 5 innings per start. Whereas like Jake Arrieta, right? When he was prime Arrieta, when Lester was prime Lester with the Cubs, it was almost a complete game every single outing, right? So I think for that reason, like we're like not as tuned in if we're the casual fan, but I think this needs to be like really dialed in, and you just did it. The fact that this guy, who we didn't even know if he would make his major league debut this year due to the fact of all the injuries that he's dealt with since college, leading up to last year, where you thought you were going to see him in his first major league game last year. We had all kind of written him off as like, okay, if he comes up, it's just kind of a cherry on the top. He is, in the second half, by far not only the best starter on the Cubs, but you could argue the best starter in baseball. And the only reason that you would be able to argue against that is just because of the number of innings that he's thrown. It's just been so fun. And what I love about it, it's like something, Alex, I don't know if you notice it. It's like something switched in his mind as soon as they said, hey, we're going to keep you at like 70 to 75 pitches per outing now. He's like, fine, I'm just going to throw 80% strikes then. And what was it last night? Was it 14 of 14 first pitch strikes to the first 14 or 15 batters? It was wild.
And his first 21 pitches were all strikes.
Isn't that crazy, dude?
I thought, honest to God, I thought he was going to throw a Maddox at one point. I was like, he's going to go the distance.
And I really, what I love about this, I think back to my conversation with Porter Hodge when I had him on the show in the offseason. He said he had never seen his stuff move from that angle behind home plate because, in minor leagues, the camera's really far off to the side. And when he saw that, plus heard from Tommy Hotovy and crew, like, hey, your stuff is so good. All you have to do is throw strikes. That's what clicked for Porter last year. And, Cade came in to this season where I felt like he was walking the world, but he was also striking out the world in the minor leagues, but they needed him to improve that. Well, he improved it. But once he got to the Cubs, it's like, dude, this guy doesn't walk many guys at all. I think maybe he had a little bit of a Porter Hodge kind of situation where it was like, wow, I've never seen my stuff move like that. That's crazy. I should just throw strikes. It's just been so much fun to watch, man.
It's really crazy because you were exactly right. His whole thing in Iowa was, oh, this guy walks too many guys.
Yep.
And even last night, watching him strike out Mike Trout 3 times, he was not afraid. You know what the C in Cade stands for? Castañas. He just threw it on the line, man. There was at one point, it was like 1-1 or something, and he threw a 97-mile-an-hour fastball right down the chute. Like, here you go, MVP. Let's see if you still got it, and blew it right by him. That was the moment, and I've been raving about this kid for a while now, but it's like,
he might have broke Mike Trout because Mike Trout went 0 for 10 with 7 Ks this series.
He was awful. He doesn't look like the same guy.
I wonder, he's still putting up some numbers this year, 20 home runs, over 800 OPS. So he's not like, he's not, I don't know, call it Sammy Sosa in his last year with the Rangers where he wasn't able to do a whole lot. Like, this guy's still putting up numbers. So I don't know. I would be really interested to know if Mike Trout in a 3-game series has ever gone hitless and struck out 7 times.
My gut says yes, because I feel like that's just baseball, but he's been so good for so long.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts. And in fact, I believe this is his first season since like 2018. Don't quote me on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's played past, I think it was like the 4th of July. There was some crazy stat out there, and I'm not quoting it exactly, but
yeah.
Would you trade Ian Happ? You want to trade Ian Happ for Mike Trout? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Don't yell at your radios. But no, it was just really cool to see a young pitcher who was fearless and like, all right, you're the great one, right, Mike Trout? You're the next Babe Ruth. Here's a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. See what you can do with it.
Yep.
Swing and a miss. It was just so cool. And we really haven't had a young pitcher like this since when? Kyle Hendricks? Jake Arrieta? But Arrieta was a reclamation project. Do we go back as far as like Zambrano, Wood, Pryor? Is it that far back? Point being, it's been a very long time since we've had a dynamic, young starting pitcher like this.
It's been a really long time. I'm trying to think of one. Samardzija, maybe.
He did have a run there.
But even Samardzija, I don't know that we had that high of hopes. I think he kind of developed along the way into being an ace for the Cubs during really bad seasons too. I can't think of any.
I really can't. And going back, I'm like, well, Zambrano I know had a lot of hype, but that's the last name. Samardzija, yeah. I mean, Kyle Hendricks basically was homegrown because we got him when he was in like single A or whatever. But no, Kyle Hendricks does not have his stuff.
No.
So it's just wild to see. All right. I do want to wrap up the series so we can get to our main story tonight. But ending with negative because we're going to go back positive. Are you a little worried about Daniel Palencia? You asked me this on our last show, and I was like, maybe not. But then he said 2 outings since where it's like, okay, maybe.
Well, Yeah, he had that like flu bug or whatever it was, right? And he was out for a few days. And I wonder if maybe he just like lost some strength during that time because you haven't seen like every game 101, 102. It's been a lot more like 98 to 100. And then today he flashed 96 once or twice, and that kind of makes you go, ooh, well, that's kind of hittable. So 2 games, no, I'm not worried. I even though I asked the question, I need to see more, but he got the job done, and I think for me, like this bullpen overall is what more so worries me because we've seen it in the last couple seasons. Don't quote me on last season, but I remember the 23 season, right? Like we just overused the bullpen and then they just kind of ran out of gas at the end of the year. And if we're going to make a serious playoff run, the starting pitching's got to be doing what it's doing now. Kyle Tucker's got to be hitting. The rest of the offense has to be at least carrying a little bit of the load, and the back of the bullpen has to be sharp. Keller and Thielbar and for the most part, Pomeranz have been really good. Aside from a couple other guys, like you need Palencia to still stay solid. So I don't know if it's worth that much of a conversation, but I do know that it's piqued my interest.
Just something to file away. Just
Yeah.
keep an eye, because right now, what is it? As we record, it's August 24th. Probably not an issue right now, but come October, if things don't sharpen up a little bit, we may have something to talk
Let's
about.
put it this way. I'm a lot more concerned about PCA, Seiya,
Same.
Happ. If I'm missing anyone, just the production out of those guys.
Same.
I'm a lot more concerned about that.
Well, that kind of leads into where I want to take this conversation next. So the Cubs won today. They swept this weekend. The Brewers lost today.
Ooh.
Don't look now, folks. Cubs are only 5 back in the division. They still have the top wild card spot by 2 games over the Dodgers. I saw that and I was like, wait a minute, San Diego did it? They overtook them? So the Dodgers are now chasing the Cubs for the top wild card spot. But, and yes, wild card is nice. Top wild card spot is nice. But Kyle, what scale of 1 to 10? Let's not even say how realistic. How hopeful are you?
Well,
Let's try that in English. How hopeful are you that they can catch the Brewers?
listen, where I'm at on this is if we end up 2 games back of the Brewers by the end of the season, I am going to, and I think a lot of Cubs fans are going to go back to game 5 against the Brewers and that just putrid lineup that Council put out there that just basically said, we're not interested in winning today. No Matt Shaw, no Owen Casey. Hey, Kyle Tucker, we just won 3 games in a row without you, but let's go ahead and put you back in the 2 hole. And then they just looked lifeless again. Because we won the season series against the Brewers. So if the Cubs tie the Brewers at the end of the season, they get the Central. So if they end up 2 games back, we're going to look back to that 1 game. Because right now, their Cubs are, after the Brewers blew a 3-2 lead in the 9th inning, and I think we all were just like, oh, great, they're even more human. They're now 5 games back.
No less.
Yeah, that's interesting. They could be 3 games back had they won game 5. And now we're really talking. So putting things in perspective, we were all very upset that, on, what was it, June 17th, the Cubs had a 6.5 game lead against the Brewers and it was gone like that. Well, the Brewers just had a 9 game lead on the Cubs and it's now down to 5. So 1 to 10, I'm like a 4, but last week I was a 0. All right.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I think I'm right around there too. Like, I don't think it's going to happen, but a boy can dream.
But, okay, 31 games left. I don't know what the Brewers have left in terms of numbers of games, but the next 10 gets very interesting to me, Alex, because the next 10 from now until basically that first series of September, the Cubs have the Giants, the Rockies, and then going to the next one is at the Braves. So, and then after that, the Nationals. So the next 12 for the Cubs is all teams that you should win the series against. For the Brewers, in that same time span, they've got the Diamondbacks that could put up a very good series. It's a 4-game series. But then after that, it's some juggernauts. The Blue Jays, for 3 in Toronto, coming back in September, back home, but it's the Phillies. And then it gets a little bit weaker after that. Pirates, Rangers, Cardinals, and Angels. So that's the only thing that it's like, okay, then they have their kind of easy schedule. But I mean, in the next 10 to 12 games, things could get interesting in the Central, Alex.
Don't threaten me with a good time. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I am ready to get my hopes up and then be absolutely devastated. Yeah. All right. I think there's one player that can help this team get there.
Wait. Can we ask the fans the same thing? 1 to 10, where they're at? Are they kind of like, all right, I think we got a real shot. That's like a 6, 7, 8. Or are they like, no, I'm looking 3 or 4, or no, it's still not possible. We're just focused on the wild card. That's like a 0 or 1.
Our last episode that we posted that people like and subscribe, of course, but also commented, it was a lot of mixed stuff. I saw some stuff. It's like, come on, guys, they're not catching them. And then I saw some stuff. I was like, well, this is baseball. So I am curious. So yes, but comment below. Let us know what you think. Is this a realistic goal? Are we kind of back in the hunt? Who knows? But there's one guy that has to carry us there, and that would be one Mr. Kyle Tucker, who came back in a big way this weekend, going 5 for 12 with 3 homers, a double, 7 RBIs. He looked like himself. I'll ask you the generic question first. Did you notice anything specific with his swing that you're like, oh, he is back?
No, I'm unless I take some time to really slow it down. Even then, I'm not gonna tell you I'm like a hitting coach that can see the differences.
The only reason I ask is because it was a very little thing, but I noticed it yesterday, and it's easy to notice when you hit 2 homers, but his swing decisions looked a little crisper. And I don't know what the numbers say. This is just eyeball test. He was swinging a lot of top of the zone stuff, and with his swing, he just has a natural, like,
right.
Remember, I don't, how do I want to say that? It generally goes up. It's more of an upward kind of swing, kind of like Chris Bryant used to have. And he's swinging a lot at the top of the zone. I was like, I wonder. And then all of a sudden he's getting some low balls. Bang, homers. It's like, interesting. So I don't know. Maybe that's a coincidence. Maybe it's just the nature of the Angels pitching. I don't know. But I just noticed, I'm like, he's laying off the high ball a little bit more. Interesting.
Yeah. I like I said, I'm probably not going to look into that. If you guys want to look into that, you guys meaning the fans, like, go for it. I'm just like, plain and simple, the Cubs won this series because of 2 really close games. And in those 2 really close games, Kyle Tucker had a home run and a 2-out RBI single. So this is the impact that this guy has to have on this team, because if he's not hitting that home run, if he's not hitting that 2-out RBI single to bring in, what was it, Nico? No, it wasn't Nico. I don't remember who it was, but anyway, he hit that 2-out RBI single today to tie the game for the Cubs. We're talking about potentially losing both those games and then losing a series. And that's been like, everyone talks about, oh, well, you're putting too much pressure on Kyle Tucker. He doesn't make that much of an impact on the lineup. Yes, he does. Like, this is the stuff that when you look at a superstar and you say to yourself, how much of an impact does he really have? Just like my conversation with Cameron Maben last week, it has a huge impact. He has a major impact. You could look at the 12-1 win yesterday and be like, okay, he hit 2 home runs. Would the Cubs still have won that game? Maybe like, 6-1 or something. Yeah, they probably would have. However, it was his 2-run home run that sparked everything. And then he had another home run, and that just continued the vibes. And I don't know, man. I think where I'm just going with this is like, one man's performance that we've all been waiting to come around. He does it in this series on the road, and the Cubs win 2 one-run games in which he had major hits in them. And that's just how much of a swing we have from positive vibes to negative vibes on this show, is that if he didn't perform like that, we'd still be having the same negativity. We'd still be talking about, oh gosh, they won the series, but they could have swept, or they lost the series. Can you believe they lost the series? And all because of really just 2 big swings, or not 2 big swings, more than 2 big swings, but a couple big swings in close games from this guy. Yes, Assad and JMO and Cade Horton were great. Yes, the bullpen did great. Yes, there was some other big hits like PCA's home run. So I'm not saying it's all him. I'm just saying that's that contribution that we needed from this guy for the last month plus.
Well, You kind of alluded to it, but the next question I wanted to ask you is with Seiya and PCA struggling, like mentioned before, is he the most important Cub down the stretch here? The next 31 games? I would argue, yeah. The pitching's been great. They're all doing their own thing. So separating the pitching out offensively, honestly, yeah, I think he is. PCA, what he's going to give you defense. He can run into a home run. He's kind of regressed here in the second half. Not great. Seiya looks lost, as we said earlier. My argument, I think he's the most important Cub, especially offensively down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, without really knowing, without having time to prep for that question, I would say yes. I buy it with what you just said there as well. I think that again, it's just I think it's just the impact that he has because I don't know. Call me crazy. Does PCA hit that home run on Friday if Kyle Tucker hadn't homered earlier in the game? I don't know. You could argue one way or another that it lightened, everyone in the dugout breathed a sigh of relief when Kyle Tucker hit a home run, right? Matt Shaw even said it after the game. He's like, it was really cool to see both PCA and Kyle Tucker hit a home run in the same game. Teammates are thinking about it, right? They're thinking about these guys going through droughts. If we're talking about offensive, I do think he's the most important. But again, like if PCA or Seiya or Hap were picking up the slack, we just probably wouldn't be complaining about Kyle Tucker as much or putting this much of a spotlight on. I mean, for God's sake, the last 3 shows that we've done have all been about Kyle Tucker, right?
Yes.
Meanwhile, Seiya Suzuki looks terrible. PCA's regress. Ian Happ continues to have a really bad season. They're not the headline of our shows, right? It's just there's just so much pressure on the guy.
Well, I do believe that is because of the upcoming free agency, the trade to get him here.
And we gave him so much. Yeah.
If he was just one of the guys, one of our homegrown guys, let's say he's like Chris Bryant 2.0, I do think it's probably still a conversation, but I do think it's not like it's divvied between all these guys because, I didn't even mention Ian Happ, but this is his worst season since his sophomore year, which was like a sophomore slump. When you look up the numbers on Baseball Reference, it's horrible. Like every other year looks pretty consistent, but this is his worst offensive season since his second year in the league, and yet we don't talk about it. And that's all because Kyle Tucker is the engine that makes this car run. I believe he is the most important Cub because PCA, you know what you're going to get. Seiya, at some point, he's going to figure it out. But they do need, at this point, I believe, he also needs a mental reset. You got a kid who's been on fire since he's come up. Ride that wave of momentum. Why just have him up here when he's hitting really well in both AAA and at the big league level before he hits that rookie wall? Why not use that to your advantage? That doesn't sit well with me, but it's just it all comes back to the potential $500 million man. He's got to be able to go on a little stretch here with your other guys struggling to carry this offense, much like the guys of the past did.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that he is fully back, or can you see us being like, well, there was that one great series he had against the Angels, but we haven't seen much since?
I think his sample size before the last 2 months tell us that he's a top 10 hitter in all of baseball and has proven that. So I lean towards this is him being back versus, oh, he just got lucky and ran into an Angels team that their pitching isn't very good. Just because we have that sample size and that history of him being one of the best. So it would be a little strange if all of a sudden we go to San Francisco and he's just awful again. It would be like, wait, what? Especially for a guy of this caliber. And I've talked about the mental pressures, like you've said. We've done 4 straight shows on Kyle Tucker. And yes, he's got a lot mentally on his plate. He's got to figure it out on the field. Like he's just got a lot he's dealing with. But everything to me points to, oh, this guy's going to figure it out and be the guy that we all want to give a big contract to, just because that's what the history tells us.
Yeah. Craig Counsell said it after the game yesterday. He said, it was eventually going to happen. I think at our core, most Cubs fans were like, yeah, we knew that like Kyle Tucker was eventually going to turn it back on. I think some people may have still been very skeptical, but I think at some level I was like, okay, he's going to turn it on. It was just like every day that he didn't, you were like, wait, is he?
Yeah. Well, and you could see it on his face. He was wondering like, oh, did the magic leave? Like, do I suck at this now? Between the body language, the throwing helmets, the throwing bats, like that stuff we see out of a young PCA who's fiery and trying to figure his way out through the league. This is a guy who's been in the league.
Yeah.
He's going to get paid regardless, whether it was 100 million to 500. He's going to get generational money. But you could tell on his face, like, oh, I'm in uncharted waters here. I have no idea how to get out of this. And I believe that this weekend is a good step in the right direction. Now, again, if he struggles in San Francisco, then we have to have this conversation again. I promise you, the next episode will not be Kyle Tucker central because I can't do it anymore.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
That's true. Hopefully it's positive then. But I mean, so let me ask you this. Does it matter for him to get and stay hot with all of the other guys struggling? Because if the other guy's struggling, he gets hot, does it ultimately matter? If a rising tide lifts all boats, but in this case, you have a lot of guys that you rely on that aren't producing right now. So if he gets hot, does it matter?
I will say Michael Busch has been better recently, so that's helped because he was pretty putrid there for a while as well.
Yeah.
Alex, at some point, one of two things is going to happen. Either Craig Counsell is going to sit. I think Seiya is probably the target here. I think PCA you just keep in the lineup because of how good his glove is. You saw him make some tremendous plays this weekend, even though he only had 2 hits. Seiya is the guy. You're either going to sit Seiya and he's going to figure it out, or you're going to get to a point where, like, if Owen Casey keeps on doing what he's doing, Craig Counsell is going to have to say, like, all right, I'm not benching you, Ian Happ, or I'm not benching you, Seiya Suzuki, but, like, I'm serious about winning and going to the playoffs. And, like, we're in crunch time now. It's 31 games left in the season, and this guy is hitting and you're not. And so we have to make that decision because we would be foolish not to. One of those two things has to happen. I'm more inclined to say that they keep on confusing Cubs fans with, like, why is Owen Casey not getting playing time? But then they sit Ian Happ. Owen Casey probably comes in, has a pretty good 2 games, and then Seiya's back, and then he figures things out. That's probably how it ends up playing out. But it would be interesting if Seiya and Happ just continue to not be able to figure things out, and Casey just forces their hand.
Isn't he kind of doing that already, though?
It's just such a small sample size, though. You know,
fair,
to Craig's benefit, 6 games is not a big sample size, but if he keeps doing it, then that's when.
Yeah, no more questions, Your Honor. But at the end of the day, the king is back. So with that said, let's hear a quick message from our friends at Aviu Shirts before we roll into the same.
Alex, can I pause you really quick? Are we really not going to talk about Kyle Hendricks?
I can't. Just emotionally. I can't. You know what? That's a great one. Comment below. Did that hurt you physically today? Because I was almost sick watching it. I couldn't do it. I was rooting so hard for him just because that's my natural instinct. And then they pulled him. I'm like, oh, thank God. Let's crush them now. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, well, okay. So let's just give him just some credit. We don't have to talk about our feelings and make this a therapy session for Alex. 4 1/3 innings for Kyle Hendricks, 5 hits, 4 earned runs. He did walk 3, which is interesting, and struck out 2. And you know, I will just say, I'll give my feelings about it. After the first 2 innings, I was like, of course we're getting 2016 Kyle Hendricks. But then I remembered last year, and I was like, remember how many starts he had where he would come out and he would have like a great first inning or 2, and then he would just get absolutely pummeled. And so I was patient. That's why I didn't tweet about it at all. And then what do you know? We start chipping away. And then he had a 2024 Kyle Hendricks type of start. And so anyway, I don't know. I'm glad that it ended the way that it did today. We needed this sweep, and it needed to come no matter who was pitching.
Yeah, and I will just say reason number 5,000 that I would never be a GM, he would have never have left. That's the wrong decision. I get that. But then seeing him in an Angels uniform today, I watched with my mom and dad. My mom's like, oh, I don't like that. He looks weird in red. I'm like, I know. So I blocked the first whatever. He went 4 1/3. I blocked that all out. I just didn't want anything to do with it. But a win's a win. So with that said, Friends at Obvious Shirts, what do you got for us?
Setup Nation, I want to take a quick break so that you know how you can support our channel and wear some cool swag like this. We've teamed up with Obvious Shirts to give you a chance to have your very own Setup Man shirt or hat, picked from 3 different types of shirts, or my personal favorite, the trucker hat. Go to the link in the description of this video and podcast to claim your Setup Man apparel. And thank you so much for supporting our channel.
Thank you very much indeed. And while you appreciate us, why don't you do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe button as well. Hit that little bell so anytime we do anything, you'll be the first to know. Audio only audience, also do us a favor, hit that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. Okay, Cubs now travel on the trolley to San Francisco. San Francisco coming off a win today against the Brewers, and now the Brewers will be rooting for those Giants. So far, the announcement for probable pitchers only has come from the Giants side, so we will go through them, and then I do have ESPN put out who they think is going to start, but nothing has been announced yet, so keep that in mind. But game 1, we'll see Justin Verlander take the hill for the Giants. He's 1-10 on the season, but don't let that fool you because he's been pretty good in the second half. A 4.64 ERA. Game 2, we'll see Carson Whisenhunt. Whisenhunt on the season 1-1 with a 4.91 ERA. And game 3, the Cy Young candidate, Logan Webb, 12-9 on the season with a 3.13 ERA. As for the Cubs, projected, again, nothing has been announced, but it looks like it'll be Matthew Boyd, Colin Ray, and Shota Imanaga in this series. So, Kyle, we just keep this rolling, right? 2 out of 3, that's the goal?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things about this is that, yeah, I 100% expect and want 2 out of 3. Some flip side, because I think a lot of people from the just outside looking in would be like, okay, Whisenhunt, you're beating him. Verlander, he's old. That's got to be a win. Logan Webb, I don't know. You said who is slated potentially because we don't have for sure's yet.
So game 1, this again, according to ESPN, game 1, they have Matthew Boyd projected. Game 2 would be Colin Ray against Whisenhunt, and then Imanaga against Webb. But Matthew Boyd would be going up against Verlander on Tuesday.
Okay. So couple things. Verlander, even though he's having probably his worst season, 4 of his last 6 starts, 0 or 1 runs allowed. Now, last time out, 7 earned runs against the Padres in 4 1/3. So you like the chances on that. But I don't feel great about Verlander just because of how well he's been pitching recently. Logan Webb, on the other hand, okay, since July 1st, 9 games, 4.25 ERA. So he's actually been very human in the last, call it, whatever that comes out to, handful of starts, 9 starts. Then Whisenhunt, yeah, you got to take care of business. So dare I say, let's get another sweep on the road?
You know what? I learned my lesson last week. I'm not making another bet with you. I have no more facial hair to give up to bet with. I was curious. I was looking at Verlander's number against the Cubs because I do feel like he pitches well. And the numbers back it up. In his career, he's started 4 games. He's 2-0 with a 2.35 ERA in 23 innings pitched. He's been pretty good against the Cubs. So that one might just be a little PTSD. I believe he also faced them earlier in the season. I don't have that box score in front of me at the moment.
I think he was just coming off of an injury and only went a few innings, if my memory serves correctly.
That sounds about right. Whisenhunt, yeah, I won't lie to y'all in the audience. I don't know much about him. In fact, when I was doing the research before we started, I looked at Kyle and said, who the heck's this Whisenhunt kid? And then Logan Webb is Logan Webb. Yeah, he's struggling a bit, but also in his home ballpark, that it scares me a little bit. But we also have Shota Imanaga to go against him. So I feel pretty good about our chances. Yeah, I don't know if I'll say sweep, just because while I'm encouraged by their play in the field this weekend, there are still just a few little cracks here and there where it's like, a better team probably takes advantage. Not that the Giants have been great, but I do think they're better than the Angels. And obviously they just beat the Brewers in Milwaukee. That's not a very easy task.
Yeah, you got to factor that in for sure. They played them very well. So, it's, to me, like this is the perfect team that you look at and you say, okay, they're playing really well in the beginning of the season. They went on really hard times, but now they're looking to be the spoilers. And those are really dangerous teams during this time of the year. So I would just like a win. I'm just being greedy right now because you know what, man? If we can get a 7-2 road trip, an 8-1 road trip, I mean, you're talking about potentially 2 or 3 games back of Milwaukee once this road trip is over, if you can do that. So I just want to be greedy right now. By the way, not to put up bad vibes, I did look it up. Justin Verlander pitched against the Cubs earlier this year in the Ryan Presley game.
Well, good news. Ryan Presley currently is not on the team. And I don't even know if he's in baseball. I know the Twins were flirting with him, but I haven't seen anything since then. So anyway, yeah, that's not a great way to end. But hey, how about that Cade Horton kid, huh? And we're back. Kyle, I appreciate you stepping in for Ty. This was a lot of fun. So thank you, Setup Nation, for watching us. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on your way out the door. Hit that little bell so anytime anything happens, you will be the first to know. Audio only audience. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also do us a favor and leave a 5-star review. For Kyle, I'm Alex. We're going to go ice up, and we will be back. What is that, Thursday? Yes. Cubs are off tomorrow. 3-gamer against San Francisco. We will be back Thursday night to recap that series. But until then, go Cubs.